Okay, so let's just jump into this one quickly. It's on the road at the moment, so it's just going to be a little bit sort of touch and go with it all, but still gives us a chance to have a quick look over the sort of chart, sort of see how things are sort of finished up for the weekend. Look, I'm sure pretty much everybody saw Jay Powell's sort of speech, sort of late sort of Friday night, 12 o'clock actually, so local time, and it was crazy actually because sort of like the market was sort of mucking around a little bit, but if you zoom in here on a lower sort of time frame here. This is where he actually started here, and this is on a 15 minute. Even as it very much started, it just took off. Like Aussie just jumped 20 points straight off the bat. So it was obviously a little bit up and down with it all. But look, I think pretty much the message that was sort of conveyed by him was exactly as the market had been expecting it, and I think that's why they sort of jumped straight off the bat. It wasn't sort of like, oh, let's wait to sort of see what he really breaks it down to and sort of comes out saying. It was just okay. We know what he's going to say. He delivered on that, and markets moved accordingly with it all. Aussie, particularly, because okay, we're on this one at the moment, we saw that absolutely jump, and it sort of had a little bit of back and forth, as you can see, sort of through here, but ultimately finished very strong. I mean, we're kissing 68 here. I mean, pretty much right on the dot of that there, which, if you think, is an incredible comeback, because remember that sort of sell down where everything sold down, really, but most recently coming all the way down. I mean, look at how far you have to drag this thing out to come back down here. Took out the yearly lows, and it has just been a full squeeze all the way since. So if we take this on here, so let's extend this right just for now, fix these up a little bit, sort of went back on the main sort of setup. But look, these are the areas in which we've sort of seen the selling happen previously, mainly just sort of being this last little bit here in July, just before we start the start of this absolute breakdown. So look, it's been an incredible recovery. It's sort of really sort of fired back on. As you can see, look, I had these buy zones here set up, and honestly, sort of like I knew this next move was coming here because Jay Powell aside, you've got the RBA incredibly hawkish at the moment. You've got the Fed, which are pretty much moving in the direction of cuts. And now the big sort of talking point with that is sort of like, it's not whether the cuts are coming or not, it's whether it's going to be a 25 base point or a 50 base point. And yeah, we've just seen Aussie with the RBA being a little bit more hawkish. Just like these pullbacks have been super shallow. And this was a not like obviously Friday 2 days ago and that, but sort of Friday the week before. This was the line that I was saying, 66.40. Once we took that out, that was the go ticket to just absolutely bang explode off, and we've got 160 points up off that line so far. So as I said, look, I had these buy zones set up. I really would have liked to have sort of got back down into the 66.70 zone. I thought that was a very sort of reasonable area. As you can see, there's a little price target for these pullbacks here. We had these two little sort of rising supports, little short-term trends. We obviously were starting to roll over. We came, and as we took out the second one, we definitely sort of came back down, kissed that buy zone, and then sort of obviously 67 round number, and it's just taken off and closed the week very, very strong. You've got, this is on the 4 hour at the moment. You've got the RSI to support this breakout, and this is a big breakout on a lot of time frames because as you can see, it came back down. It didn't even come to the 38% of this last little move up through here. So that means the buyers are very hungry. They're not sort of waiting. Let's sort of get up into these. Like I was trying to sort of, as I said, hopefully get down to these levels down here. That would have been perfect. I would have loved to have loaded up and that back down at 66.40 because we never had that retest. It just took that line and just broke and ran. So look, moving forward, very strong close. It's hard to sort of, I mean, look, honestly, you don't want to stand in front of something like this, but when things close on this sort of just pretty much one direction, like as you saw, if we go back onto the lower time frame, you can see it did sort of start to curl out a little bit around the top over here. This is the 1 hour, overbought, tipping down. So look, start of the week, bottom week before sort of them breaking and moving up higher is definitely a possibility. So I would say certainly if we get anything back down to, 67.50s, I think this is going to be a big sort of another good sort of buying opportunity, which will give you another 40-point bounce just to retest these highs coming through here. We do have, so you can do that later. We do have Aussie CPI coming out this week, so it's something to be aware of as well. CPI, I think from recollection, 3.8 and the expectation's down to 3.4%. Which is a significant drop off and probably the first drop off that we've had in a while because, as I said, it's moving in that other direction. And nothing's really changed. So I don't know if people are just sort of expecting, or that maybe the RBA is expecting that people will just sort of curb their spending based on the idea that, you know, they're threatening to hold. Like, you know what I mean? Like if the tool in their sort of toolbox is to sort of raise rates, excuse me, um, and they haven't sort of raised the rates, well, it's a bit hard to sort of see why things would be sort of tipping in the other direction. But as I said, look, I think this is a possibility. I think, to get long here, I think sort of a retest of this 67.50 level. This will be an interesting thing to sort of see what happens down here. As you can see, it's certainly, this is super steep, and we've got another bit of a trend line through here. Obviously, as that bounce back down into that buy zone. As long as you're above this trend line here, buying the dips in the short to medium term, I think is still the play. Look, things could open up and they could just sort of see a very strong continuation of the end of last week. I mean, the last couple of hours of a week, you never really put too much weight or emphasis on because, people are finishing up for the week. Generally, apart from the last 2 weeks, you don't normally see mass moves in the last couple of hours of a week. And obviously this week was the one where we had J Powell, so that was the driver up at Jackson Hole. So going to wait to sort of see how things open up. As we can tell previously, these were the highs of July, so that's just above us here at 68 cents. 68, and then moving up above that, 68.50. They're the sort of levels that we're looking for topside moves. But as I said, I wouldn't be surprised, even if particularly you get a little bit of a sort of sell down in Asia, just to see, even if it were to sort of go higher, to sort of give a bit of a sort of bottom wick to come up here, gives you a nice level where you can break it, and then sort of get the flip and sort of be looking a little bit longer. Should we sort of get back down under the 67.20 level, that would sort of be taking you through again this little sort of medium term channel. Then you might be able to be looking back down around 67 again. So I don't think this is like game over or I bang. Game over for the shorts here. I think this is definitely going to be a little bit of sort of playing around, but you just got to wait for these levels, and you got to wait for these levels to break, and then sort of act accordingly with it all. So I'll be able to clean these charts up a little bit, Ben. I'm back on my sort of main sort of setup, but early Asia, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of profit taking from this move over here, because again, 66.40 way back down here. Okay, that's a different story. Never got a retest of that one. But this level here, 67.50, it really just kind of flew all the way through that. It did stuff around a little bit, as you can see, a couple little ups and downs through this area here, but we are certainly around the next round number, 68, finding a little bit of selling happening. And this could be seen, I mean, this is a 30 minutes, so I wouldn't really put too much emphasis on it, but it could be seen as a little bit of a negative divergence, meaning that sort of this last push up through here, okay, yes, it was news driven and it was probably algo driven as well, but it doesn't mean that the whole market's sort of necessarily sort of committing towards it. I mean, look, 4 hour bullish, got the RSI to support it, daily, very big break up into the top side here. So that was actually, so these are our sellers here at 68 basically is what we sort of said with it all. So that was that measure move price target. Jeez, wow, what an absolute, look at that sell down. But V-shapes have been coming in hot and heavy the last week or so. So, as I said, you don't often see a lot of V-shapes. So, look, I'd be cautious to be sort of thinking that we're going to be just getting our major breaks here, but I would certainly be looking at the moment to sort of have a look at this sort of larger sort of retracement. If we say, say you come up into this level here, say that 68 were to be your top with it all, these are your kind of sort of pullback areas. 23% pullback on this recovery move through here still only takes you to 67. So 67.50 for another shot to sort of come back up. 67.30. Sorry, 67.50 was the first one. 67.30 being this sort of other sort of level through here. This is another zone that we could sort of possibly see a little bit of a sort of back test to grab a little bit of liquidity remember, if once you sort of start to sort of move back down here, you're going to get parts of the market trying to jump on the shorts. They're going to be putting up their stops up over here. That's going to give you the power and the triggers to then take that next leg up there. So, I mean, all in all, definitely, as I said, I think sort of Aussie's got still yearly highs to come. I've just sort of been a little bit cautious about buying it straight off the bat come Monday morning. But we'll have to sort of wait and see how they decide to open up with China, with Asia tomorrow. All right, so flip across gold. Gold, another one, sort of took off. Let's get on to these lower time frames. As you can see, and we go back here with this one. This was our little back test into this little area down here. We got that 60. It's hard to sort of flip between these kind of things here. 2480 got a fill. 2470 was the lows. As you can see, these are your sell areas, sell areas, sell areas, breakout. And as well as saying through the week that this is our sort of back test, which we hadn't had through this area through here. Back test down here, and obviously, boom, took off again. And that was another one. If we jump onto the lower time frame, come into the end of that week there, whoops, we can see that sort of, it really took off quite strong from Powell's speech. It had a little bit, the metals are a little bit interesting because they did actually come back and give back most of that initial push. Very high though, but obviously, recovered and then closed very strong there as well. So on a daily, it's certainly looking like it wants to look for another leg moving higher. I'll have to sort of clean these charts up at some stage. But well, if we go past 25.30 thereabouts, then I would say that this is your breakout, your back test confirmed, and then higher high. That means that then you're looking for your next little leg up through here. And we could possibly even look at something along these sort of lines through here. Again, sort of have to sort of clean this up on the proper charts. Maybe I'll do another video. Don't normally do the videos on the Mondays and that because not much changes from Sunday to Monday, of course, but particularly Asia session for us. But something along these kind of lines here, you could start to see a little bit of a channel form, and it could sort of start to sort of move up towards that 2600, which is, I think, still a reasonable level for that price target because that's, again, achieved by the idea of this channel that we were working through. You break out of the channel, you back test the top side, you put in a higher high. Okay, that sort of triggers you to sort of move on. And you look, okay, the measured move, price target is the measured move of top to the bottom of the previous channel. And that gives you around 2600. So again, I think sort of more upside to come. However, I wouldn't be surprised if we sort of do see a little bit of a pullback, even if it's just down to that around that 2500, which again, big round number, they like to hold. I wouldn't be surprised if we get back down around here, I'll probably be looking to buy a bit more as well. Silver finished very strongly, as you can see through here. Another one, we've seen it. There's support, resistance, breaks through, back test, and this is actually finished very strong, moving out to the top side here. So, look, as I said, there's a couple of things, and these things will all start to run in tune with each other. So you'll see these that, Aussie has some sort of stronger levels just above it. Silver, as I said, this is the price target for us where we were saying that this big sort of falling resistance, so from, going back to this year's highs back in May, this is going to provide a little bit of a sort of a knockback, as we've seen it done time and time again. Doesn't mean that it's over. Doesn't mean that it's sort of like, sweet, it's, going to fail and come all the way back down over here. I don't think you're going to be sort of seeing any moves back down that low, but you are going to see some profit taking. You're going to see some selling happen as it does come into contact with this falling resistance. So that's something else to be aware of. A lot of these things as well are burning quite hot on the RSI. They are sort of well into the overbought area. I mean, look, that's not to sort of say that things can't continue to be and stay overbought for a period of time. But it's just, again, something to be wary of. You want the RSI to be backing you a little bit there with it as well. So again, look, I think silver's definitely the place to be if you're looking for metals. Gold, I mean, look, it's punching to all-time highs. People love trading gold. Gold's like sort of, I mean, it is, well, actually, no, Bitcoin is the gold. I shouldn't say gold is the Bitcoin, but of their respective markets. You know what I mean? If people are trading metal, they just want to say, I'm trading gold. It sounds sexy. It sounds cool. Like, I'm trading gold, man. Like silver, people in the know understand that sort of silver will run harder than gold in a sort of in a metals bull market. And of course, we use the gold silver ratio, which will determine this. And as you can see, we're coming down into a very vital area here, where we said, look, if we can get a breakdown underneath here, this is where we'd be looking for our major breakouts. So it would look again this, and then you look at the flip side. This is a little bit overbought here, so there is a chance that you see a bit of a push up here before you do go through. But as I said, once you go down through this level down here, I think silver is going to be breaking through that sort of falling resistance. Gold's going to be moving towards 2600. We're going to be seeing sort of obviously a continued sell off with DXY most likely running to the downside. And this has got big room because this is the move down here which really got the metal market moving a couple of months ago, sort of like, second quarter of this year. And then as we've been moving back up through here, we've seen certainly silver has been taking a bit of a beating and hasn't even achieved the highs of the year so far. So, it's got some good room to move down here while still keeping it above the sort of main supports. But, it just means that the metal market's definitely got a little bit of a run to go. And this is evident, obviously, with copper as well, because copper is one that obviously I trade a fair bit of, and this was the one that came off that big negative divergence down the bottom here, and it's playing its part. And this is what I've been sort of saying, that as it sort of came out through here, this is almost sort of like, if you go back and watch the video from when it must have been Thursday, so the 22nd, and it's pretty much just run this exact path. This is the white line is what I drew on Thursday, and I said, look, what I'm looking for with copper, apart from the fact that obviously we hit our price target back over here, was this little range to continue to play out, which we are seeing right here. It's come back into the top side, it's kissed a bit of this here. I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe get this little leg down here. So a little bit of a sell down, buys move up to meet it, and then we take it out and bro. Look, we could open up in tomorrow morning and everything could just go bonkers. We could see Aussie up another 30, 40 points through the session. We could see gold breaking out, silver breaking out, copper breaking out, all these things. Always a possibility. You need to consider both sides with it all. But I do think that, pretty much there is always the possibility that we see a little bit of a stubbing around. I mean, Asia session and also Asia session on a Monday, they're generally pretty quiet sort of ones. So we'll have to sort of see how that plays out. Speaking of which, we jump across to the Chinese one, and as we can see, this is our little area through here to the back, and it's coming down. So again, all these things, they're coming into very vital levels. So it's a matter, do we open up and it's broken out? Same with, as I said, copper. You saw that was into its resistance. This is into its support. The same with sort of like, gold didn't quite get up to it all. Silver was probably looking the best out of those ones, as it was actually pushing to a new sort of short-term, medium-term high. But again, do they sort of just go admit defeat early and just go bang and run down, or do they try and sort of suck out a little bit, just that one more little bit of liquidity, then come down and flip these ones and then sort of see it run? So I think, look, this definitely could be the week that we see the breakouts. I'm really, if I'm going to be looking out for anything, it would be that little bit of rebalancing come Asia tomorrow. Then I'll be marking out where the opens are, and once we flip those levels and then sort of break and flip the weekly candles, moving to their respective breakout or breakdown, I think that's where we're going to see a little bit more action. And speaking of which, this is the reason why as well, because DXY, although it is incredibly weak, it is these two red lines that are marked down here. These are your, probably I have to put it on the daily. These are your sort of last lines of defense at this point here. Underneath here, you're going down pretty much underneath 100. So you've got these two wicks down here. So these are areas in which we've seen some market buying previously. So there is a chance that we do see a little bit of a push up before a push down with it all. If I get back onto this one, it looked like it was very much trying to play this inverted head and shoulders that I called last week. And as you can see, we had the shoulder, we came down, we made that right shoulder, came up here, tested that neckline, and then bang, it got demolished. If we jump onto a very low time frame, you can see this. I mean, this is, as I said, the 15 minutes of when we were coming back up into it. They didn't even wait to hear what Powell had to say. They just, he's talking at 12, let's dump it. And bang, it dumped down. Came down here, and obviously it tried to get these, like it had this little sort of little wedge that was forming, got a little breakout through here. But ultimately, again, end of the week, just super weak with it all. This is a 15 minutes, so it doesn't really matter much, and also it's the end of the week. But as you can see, even though this is flat sideways, this RSI was very much tipping up through here. So, there is showing a little bit of a sort of divergence in the price action that you were seeing through there. Oversold on the 1 hour, and 4 hour looks like it could still go down a little bit more. So again, look, a lot of the market are going to be going, yeah, bang, we're going to run this. So it's just, do they want to screw people out, or do they just want to let it happen? It's going to happen. It's a matter of time. It's not a matter of, it's a matter of sort of when, not if kind of thing. So it's just, do they try and stop some people out first, or do they run it down? As I said a moment ago, they're all into those very vital levels, supports, resistances. So, things, I mean, are they going to go early or not? That's a question. And we can really only just speculate and sort of see what happens come sort of Asia session tomorrow. So look, that's just a pretty quick one in that today, actually. Just as I said, on the road, so I don't have the normal setup, but still gives us a chance to have a look over the markets and that. And I think sort of really that we could see some little balancing. But as I said, as soon as it opens, I'm going to be marking out those lows. And when we get the flip, that's when we'll be attacking with it a bit more. Look for the major breakouts. All right. Anyway, that's it from me.